Hello, friends. Good afternoon, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. By the grace of Almighty, I'm here today with our few honorable guests. Within a minute, within very short time, we'll be with you soon. So be with us. And hope you will put your kind comments, opinion to be connected with our guests, just to have some idea, global perspective, social work intervention, and social entrepreneurship, community development, in all these aspects together during COVID-19. So hope you all are fine. And very shortly, we are going to connect our honorable guests from different countries. You'll be happy to be introduced with them. So your comments, your opinions, your participation, engagement is very important to progress our efforts, really, to make a global connections and social work friends together from the different countries of the world. Send link kono send in kora or হচ্ছে link, please send me the link. Please send me the link and connect with our honorable guest today. You know, our grand title of the episode of Facebook Live is Stay Home, Stay Healthy during COVID-19. This is a community social work concern. So friends, hopefully will be with us today with our honorable guest, and hope you could enjoy a lot really to be connected with us on that session. So very soon we are coming to you. Please be with us. Just a minute, we are coming soon to you. So our guest is waiting. There is already online. We are very close to your connection. So hope you all will be with us within a minute. And this is, of course, this is a grand episode. This is our global episode 2, keeping focus on Asian context. So please be with us. We are coming soon. Which social worker effort, community social work concern during COVID-19. So please be with us. All right. Dear friends, dear viewers, well wishers from home and abroad, I'm very delighted and my heartfelt gratitude to Almighty Allah who has given me the chance again to be with you today with our delighted foreign guest, valuable and venerated foreign guest really from Italy, from India, and from Malaysia. I would like to be connected with our honorable guest now. Please proceed on. So and connect all the guests now. Please. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Professor Dr. Denison.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Dr. Annamaria Campanni is here. She is Honorable President of IASSW. This is International Schools Association of Schools of Social Work. Professor Annamaria, welcome to our show today. Okay, you all of your microphone might be mute, so please unmute your microphone.
Yes, now. Thank you for inviting me. Salam alaikum and a good day to everybody. Morning, afternoon, night, depends on where you are.
All right, it's a big gathering. Professor Dr. Denison is here from Malaysia.
Hello.
Hello, and we'll just be interacting together. Professor Dr. Banshidhar Pandey, he is Honorable Dean, Students Welfare Department of yes, please, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi University, and we will be discussing together. So we're very happy to have you here, sir, today from Italy, Professor Annamaria. And from Malaysia, Professor Dr. Denison Jayasooria. He is Honorable President, founder of ASEC, Asian Social Solidarity Economic Council, and he is Professor of National University of Malaysia, ex-professor, and Dr. Banshidhar is here. So all three valuable speaker today as our guest. So my heartfelt of congratulations to all of you. Hello.
And thank you, Dr. Rahman, for inviting me in such a great
before follow. Yes, please. So I'd like to just share you regarding this platform. Actually, I'm myself, Habibur Rahman, hosting from Bangladesh. I'm a social work academician and practitioners together. So I love to be introduced a practitioner, a social work practitioner, rather than academician sometime, because I do believe firmly social work depends on more in practice sometime rather than academics, because social work actions come out in the society through practice. So I'm very happy to have you here, sir, as you agreed on my request to be our valuable speakers to spend 2 hours time with our followers, friends from home and abroad. I would like to recall you just the title, the grand title of Facebook Live. This is fourth session is going on today. Our grand title is Stay Home, Stay Healthy During COVID-19, Community Social Work Concern. We know during this global pandemic COVID-19, the whole world is under stress, a pandemic situation. The human civilization is under threat. due to this, and economy is under threat. Communities is thought to be rebuilding. Of course, we will learn from Dr. Denison, especially in that part, and from Pandey and Annamaria on that part. Really, the whole world is waiting. They are undergoing through this COVID-19 scenario. So we have so many disastrous situation under this catastrophe, and today's concentration is social entrepreneurship. I would like to share our guest and audience already followed. So many, they are being connected. So today's main focus is social entrepreneurship, community development, and social work intervention. Today, this is the main focus, but during this COVID time, these are very closely in thought, really, in all the countries, because the whole world is in a devastation. Whole world leaders, they are in a hopeless and heartless situation due to this global pandemic. So let us introduce our guest first. I would like to come to Professor Denison from Malaysia. Would you, sir, please greet us, our followers, regarding COVID situation, Malaysian situation till today?
Okay. Good afternoon. It's afternoon here. We are going to be evening. Thank you for this invitation and this opportunity to share. Malaysia is not a very large country. It's about 32 million people. But the effect of COVID-19 has some devastation on many parts because of the lockdown since March 18. And this carries on till June the 9th, where there is a movement control order and many people are unable to work, especially those in the informal sector, migrant workers, documented, undocumented, refugees, people in micro businesses and things of this area. Now, Malaysia itself has an impact that there were 6,894 cases of COVID-19. The death is 113. Public health services is quite good in Malaysia with primary health care and the community health care, the government hospitals, and they actually took quite good control, including security, police force, and so forth. So the management of COVID and the subsequent lockdown and government assistance for food and other things is quite satisfactory to certain sections. I think the groups that were badly affected were the refugees, the migrants, undocumented, stateless people. They were badly affected because non-citizens were not given the assistance. And the lockdown also made travel. We had, I think, more than 20,000 arrests of people who violated. So there were concerns of human rights violations, conning off of areas, and that has been unpleasant for certain sections, especially daily waged people, people who don't have social protection, unemployment benefits, although the government gave some financial handouts, but it wasn't sufficient. But now the economy is opening up, so shops and other things through social distancing, with strong government monitoring, is opening up. Unemployment is not as high. I think it's hit to about 5%. But the presence of sizable foreign workers is a major concern, and they seem to be alienated in this process along with certain sections. So like all parts of the world, we are equally affected schools, universities, and that's helped us move into the new mode of education. And even I think since COVID, I have been almost meeting Dr. Habibur weekly through these online discussions. So that's something from me, and I can come back to if there are other questions. But situation seems under control. But there is another side of politics, human rights violation, governance issues that need to be discussed. But this will be taken up in the post-COVID period, including economic, empowerment, not too much of dependency to handout, but to self-reliance and assistance so that people can stand up. I think the impact of psychological support to people who have lost lives or illness or unemployment is needed. But most social workers were restricted in movement other than to go out and assist in food distribution and assistance under police permit and supervision. The government enabled voluntary organizations under the purview of the Department of Social Welfare or the Ministry of Health to undertake certain interventions, and the police granted permits to some sections. But there were concerns when it comes to migrants, refugees, undocumented, that submission of name list or people made them more vulnerable for arrest, detention, and things of that sort. Thank you, Habibi, and we can discuss more if there are questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, you could know the situation of Malaysian situation, so far I could see, and in terms of Dr. Denison, it's under control. Actually, government is very tough and strict and trying to controlling the situation. I will come back again to you. I'd like to go to Dr. Pandey. Actually, from media, from television and social media, that we could see the situation of Bangladesh and India, considering overall indicators and the areas of COVID pandemic infected areas so far same. So how could you share, sir, about your areas and overall India during COVID, how the people are living there and what is the situation going on there, please?
Okay. Respected Professor Annamaria ji and respected Professor Denison ji, my friend Habibur ji. All the friends, good afternoon, namaskar, assalamu alaikum. First of all, on behalf of my country, India, and on behalf of the citizen of India, I wish to all the best and pray Almighty God that you all remain healthy and happy. Although we are confident that we will be able to overcome the COVID-19 epidemic, until this happens, we will have to take the necessary precautions and live the art of living with COVID-19. At a time when I am not getting the opportunity to meet anybody, each other due to physical distancing and the lockdown in my country and many parts of the world, I would like to thank Dr. Rahman for the opportunity giving me to communicate live with all of you, even in this situation. I salute and also thankful to you, sir, and also to Community Social Work Network of Bangladesh, because the initiative gives me the opportunity to share my thoughts and people of social work fraternity around the globe and with my Bangladesh sisters and brothers in particular. As you will aware that today entire world is severely affected by COVID-19, and how long we'll be able to get out of it and how to get out of it. Not clear. Conditions in India are more or less similar. That is why until we find a way to control this epidemic, then we have to find a way to live with it, and that's why social work becomes important in this situation, in India and abroad too. To prevent the infection of coronavirus in India, or we can say to control the speed of its spread, the Indian government took very efficient and quick action and has been declared lockdown since 25th of March 2020. Now we are in the fourth stage of lockdown, which will be completed on 31st of May. In our country, the growth rate of infection is 5.34% per day, based on which the infection cases are doubling in about 13 days. If we talk about the present situation, 96,169 confirmed cases we found in India, 36,824 in which recovered, and 3,029 deaths. So far, 37.94% of the infected have recovered, 3.14% have died, and 59.04% are undergoing treatment. So far, 6.81% of people died related to infection in the world. Even in the states with high infection, a large number of patients are getting healthy and going home. If we talk about some states, so far 59% of the patients in Rajasthan, 58% in Uttar Pradesh, 57% in Andhra Pradesh, 65% in Punjab, and 64% in Telangana have recovered. But it is also true that it is difficult to assess the social, mental, and economic effect of this pandemic. Like other countries of the world, the most adverse effect caused by the COVID-19 in India has been on migrant workers, children, women, elderly, disabled, poor class people. Central government, state government, and local administration have made every effort to support all of them. Civil society, NGOs, volunteer organizations have also not leave any stone unturned to help the victims, but we should note that only short-term efforts are not going to work. Actually, on the other hand, we need to work to improve the present condition to affect the people. On the long-term plan is needed to reduce the far-reaching side effect. In this case, the role of social work becomes important. Now, we will talk something later when we take other questions and other discussion. I can say only the condition of India is improving. Market is likely to be open within a week or two. People are returning on their work, but the schools and college are still closed. Examination of the students are withheld. Many things are withheld, but the life will come on the track very soon. I hope so.
All right, Dr. Pandey will come again. Already you have discussed so many things, but we'll just link for the questions that already been raised here. And before coming to Dr. Annamaria, I'm coming back to audience who greeted us already. Dr. Shakti Prabha from India said, "Good afternoon, professors." Nizum Mim Chakma, good afternoon, sir. Alamin, Assalamualaikum. Kaji Saifur Rahman, Meherun Labuni, Kaji Saifur Alamin, Sharmin Akhi from Philippines, Jarwin Navur, one of our friends from India, Durgesh Upadhyaya, congratulations. And there are so many there coming. So I would like to come to Dr. Annamaria Campanni, Honorable President, International Association of Schools of Social Work. We do believe, not initially I'm telling you, requesting you, but later on, I must say, you have a lot of responsibilities to bring together the schools of social work, the practitioners, and the academicians. So as you are from Italy, actually initially of COVID, after China, we were very tensed and in tension regarding Italy, how people are surviving there. And that's why regularly, almost, I try to connect just to get back. How are you, right? So could you share us from Italy, actually, how the situation is getting better, and during the situation before a month, how you feel like this really as a social worker and as a resident of that community there?
Thank you very much for inviting me. And I know that Italy has been the second important country in which the virus has been spread. And, it has been really, really strange, because at the beginning, the virus was only in two very small areas, which you have never heard the name, because are not Rome, not Florence, not important town. But suddenly the situation came immediately very, 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 very serious. Codogno and Vo are the two initial points, but now also the doctor are saying that perhaps there was something that was circulating in Lombardia, the region more affected, and that was not recognized. It was a pneumonia, but was not recognized as something different. So for this reason, in this area, the virus has circulated very, very fast. At this moment, we can count 225,000 people affected by the virus, many of them without symptom or with very, very, very not strong symptom. And we have 125 people who can recover from the virus also after hospitalization or after a period in which they have been in quarantine at home. But unfortunately, we have 32,000 people who died. And these people are very much in the area of population, in the aging population. Italy is a country about 60 million of inhabitants, and the majority of these inhabitants are older people. We have a few children and a lot of older people, and many of these people can stay at home alone or with relatives, but many other are living in houses, common not hospital, but care houses, care home. And in this home, there has been really, really a disaster because many people in the north area, in Lombardia especially, died in these houses, and also in Piemonte and in some other region. So this has been some peculiar aspect of our COVID-19. And of course, we took the same measure that you have said before in the other country. The lockdown was immediately done in the red area, and then was spread in the different region, and then all over Italy. So all the schools were closed, all the commercial activities have been closed, except the one who are fundamental for the survival, like a food store or other kind of activities. But now the situation, just today, the stores can be open, and a lot of factories has opened with the specific measure to try to maintain the distance, the physical distance between the people, with mask, with gloves, and everything. We have to see what will happen now with this open of the activities, because of course transport is a problem because there are a lot of people, so the distance is not so easy to be maintained, and we will see. I can tell you that, of course, as the other colleagues said, the people most affected are the one who don't have a proper work. They are working in the illegal market, in black, we can say, and so they cannot also access the support of the government, because they cannot demonstrate that they were working. The government did a very, very huge effort. We have had also some questioning between Italy, Spain, and French that were together asking to the European Union to give more support. But some of the Nordic countries, like Holland, for example, didn't want to give money because they said that, for example, Italy is a very high debt. And so this has also been quite tensive for our government, and without the possibility to give support. Of course, the social workers have continued to work, but the majority in lockdown, using social media, using phone when social media were not available, and with the support also of some voluntary organization. They coordinate some distribution, for example, of food or some other kind of support. I think that what we miss is a preparedness for disaster response in this area, because we are now a bit more prepared to use a social worker in the catastrophe. We have a specific social work association under the civil protection. Is a voluntary, of course, association, but in our code of ethics is foreseen that the social worker have to act in this situation. But of course, there was nothing in relation to an pandemic like this. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll come back to you again.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a preliminary discussion among three countries, and I would like to share you some parts of Bangladeshi situation till today.
Sure.
Identified affected positive number more than approximately 22,000 people are identified positive COVID-19, and death toll is approximately 320, more than 300, it exceed, and people's getting better. This is approximately 3,500. So temperature around May 40 degrees Celsius here.
Wow.
And you know, this is month of Ramadan. So in this month, people naturally try to stay home, stay office, try to be stagnant, don't like to come outside. But problem is, you know, our two great festival, one is Eid ul-Fitr and Eid ul-Adha. So Eid ul-Fitr is coming soon after a week. So rationally, people love to come out to purchase some clothes, some household chores, and some other thing. But due to COVID-19, actually, the whole country is separated, locked down by the government. But it's getting relaxed gradually because people don't love to stay at home. They are exhausted, really. It's happening, and as this is village-prone, rural-based countries, so approximately 85% or 80, more than 80% people naturally rationally live in rural area. But the mostly affection area is capital city and surrounded 2, 3, 4 cities there. So we'll come again, and there are so many opinion questions coming. But before that, I would love to come again to Professor Dr. Denison. Our topic is, today's focus is social entrepreneurship, community building or rebuilding, I mean community development and social work intervention. So as Annamaria is here, Professor Anna is here, so we are really relaxed today to learn from her more on that part, really how social worker is doing and contributing around the world, because she is the hook of all academicians globally. So I would like to come to Professor Dr. Denison to learn something about social entrepreneurship. And I would like to add some point, like in our country even, the small business areas, the businessman, the grocery shops, the cottage industries, they fall down. They got hard fail because of their lost projects. People are not coming. They are not buying their items, so they are in tent. So how come you could give us some information? Because I know you are producing training and ideas global network to revive the people, how they can be connected, right, with the products. I mean, consumers and the big group who are buying this the products from the community. Please, how social entrepreneurship can be a big factor in COVID-19 situation. Dr. Denison, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are faced with a situation in which it is really the small operators. We are thinking of small and micro businesses that is less than 5 workers, or it's women-led micro businesses. It could be street vendors. It could be a home-based person doing some income generation or economic. They are self-employed. It could be food. It could be tailoring. It could even be agriculture. It could be handicrafts. So there is a whole range of small and micro operators who were badly affected during the COVID-19, because their saving levels or the insurance or social protection systems might not be there in most of the developing world, as well as in other parts of Asia, Africa, where we see they have become victims of a market economy which is more driven by big operators and players who manage to still have the kind of capital and investment that can see them through. So if somebody was selling or doing tailoring where savings is actually very small and they are literally dependent, this is the kind of support which we see social workers who are doing community work on the ground actually enabling and supporting. So it could be linked to cooperatives, which is collective, or it could be part of self-help groups. It could be part of a fair trade initiative. It could be part of microcredit and things of the sort. Many of them could be in a vulnerable situation during this period. Depending on the country and the background and area, the kind of support given during this period, this is where entrepreneurship, and some have extended the word social to include social enterprise or social entrepreneurship. Basically, it's emphasizing that the poor actually don't want our charity. They actually want stable employment and opportunity with just wages if they are employed. If they are self-employed, then access to a fair business environment that will not alienate them from bigger businesses or bigger groups in the area, because very often businesses or governments tend to favor multinationals, big investment groups, and this marginalizes poor farmers and things of this sort. And this is where there are many projects in Asia and many parts of the world, where, including India, where we see community-supported agriculture, where producers and consumers are working together. And this we heard of in our meetings. I think Habibur was part of that discussion, where the group in Madurai, which is doing dairy or agricultural products, then were actually able to reach out through their networks straight to consumer groups in which they could sell their products even during this period. Organic farmers and groups that have highlighted. But I think in the case of others, in Bangkok, one of our partners, the HomeNet group that's organizing the self-employed street vendors and people of that sort, they were quite badly affected, but they set up community kitchens during this period. So civil society, through collaborative or membership bodies, actually facilitated this. So people then say there is a need now to rethink of the economy where the big businesses actually alienate the poor, and during crisis periods, it leaves the governments to take care and they comfortably move out of the scene. So the empowerment and alternatives of building grassroots movements, returning back to strengthening cooperative movement, self-help groups that are better organized, better financed through microloans that are fair and just, including marketing, might be the way forward through now enhanced IT connections through, I think, whether it's in Malaysia or in other parts, food, people selling food could actually do if there was logistic support and they were delivering through mobile apps, through transport provisions that were made possible. So the social economy or solidarity economy is actually interlinked with sustainable development goals, where the triple bottom line is central. Economy, where profits are necessary but not exorbitant or exploitative. Social is important because you need people to have fair wages, health, education, housing. And the third is environment. Environment in terms of sustainability, recycling, other forms, energy, these sorts. So the 17 SDG goals bringing holistic development and transformation to grassroots communities and enabling the people at the bottom, we call it bottom 40% or urban poor or rural poor, where social workers, especially community workers, are working at this level, then makes it possible for us to have a renewed role within this context. Unfortunately, during the COVID period, some of us who are more in human rights and activists then hosted these kind of discussions. Others who were more service-oriented then organized local communities, raised the funding that was necessary, and then used food distribution as a base. But all these groups recognize that handouts is not the way for long term, and that we need to put into place social protection mechanisms that are just and fair, which needs the support of the government, public policy, savings package, long-term health care, housing, interlinked for the bottom, as well as recognizing. I know our professor from Italy is around, as well as others where social work is well developed. In the Malaysian context, we are still struggling to get a legislation that would recognize social work. But fortunately today, our king in the opening of Parliament did say that in this term of Parliament, the social workers bill or act would be tabled, and this will push social work in the right direction, because the government formulated social work competencies, which is linked to the schools of social work, as well as the International Federation of Social Workers, competencies in social work practice, right qualification, but the recognition of social workers as a support for economic, social, hand holding, including issues of justice, macro issues, so that we are not just a handout team, but we will ensure the structures are more just and fair to all people, including women, indigenous communities, disabled people, refugees, and so forth. That's the background. So the economic dimension is where governments need to give some priority to micro operators on the ground. Let me just conclude with one simple illustration. Banks were open during COVID-19, but when the lockdown was lifted and they said pawn shops can be open, large numbers of people in Malaysia were standing in long queues in front of a pawn shop to either redeem their jewelry or to place their jewelry in order to get the poor man's money. And that actually shows the vulnerability, the high risks at the bottom, and that the structural systems are not there in our society, and the more vulnerable sections are more disadvantaged. So this calls for better public policy for social protection and others, and social workers are working alongside academicians, human rights activists to ensure a better deal in the post-COVID. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
All right, very good. So we'll come back to again before kind.
Sure. I'm sure.
Coming to Dr. Pandey, there are so many comments here. So let me just read out some of them and just to convey their greetings to you. Raihan Anjum Tanha, you congratulated us all together. Ahmed Basid, good job, sir. Thank you, Ahmed Basid. Muhammad Habibur Rahman, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Manoj Kumar Sharkar, Manojda was our last day speaker. Best wishes for today's session. Mr. Noyan Khan, Noyan, my brother, glad to see Annamaria. Thanks, Habib Bhai. Alamin. How do we control South Asian countries in light of the experience that Italy has gained so much, ma'am? Actually, already you shared also from your discussion. I hope you might be clear. Mr. Dipul Hussain, he is an academician. He is assistant professor of Department of Sociology and Social Work. He commented like, hello, good afternoon, everybody. I think social entrepreneurship is a good concept in this situation, but how can we ensure and establish in COVID-19 period, because we are desperately faced mental and financial challenge? Very good questions, Annamaria and others. Actually, COVID-19 brings mental crisis, which is the hook of all crises together. This is the bottom line talk, really. And Sonia Dal, good afternoon. Nafuzit Chakraborty, great to see all dear mantis. Keep nursing us to grow more better professional. Thank you for conducting such a panel discussion. Note Shajawat. Hussain Ahmed, he has a question, how education is being done in Malaysia. Actually, not only Hussain, Malaysia, we of course know from India how it's going on online basis, because we were not oriented through this process before, largely. So from Italy, from India and Malaysia, how we are just proceeding this education system there. And there is a comment from Doris. I'm just summarizing. We will just keep some points from their comments. Doris Padmani, social entrepreneurship initiatives provides employment for the poor and marginalized. It helps to maintain the dignity of the workers. Besides being organized, produce products or services. They also form self-help groups to be supportive socially. Important to have proper networks, especially digital marketing, to ensure sale of products. Very good comments. Important for experts in diverse areas, some together to ensure the success of actually Dr. Denison focus on this, and we'll come again more on that, really how this time producer and consumer can be connected through digitalization process. And Mr. Noyon made a fantastic comment. First of all, thanks go to the moderator and panelists for arranging the session and help us to meet the scholar and their views on COVID-19. After any pandemic, sustainable recovery is essential. Very good. But the impact of COVID-19 is very unique. So it will be very challenges for all to act for building back better principle for rebuilding, reshaping our economy and social life. So my question is, how social work play a role in building community after COVID-19 pandemic? Because social work profession has, it's not clear, rest of the part most probably he posed again. Social work has not in a remarkable, in a structured position globally. So how social worker can play a role? And last comment, Bhavna Bhagat Singh, just thanks to all of us. Shakti Prabha, due to social distancing, how to encourage social entrepreneurship among people who are not financially strong? Actually, that is my question also. So I'm coming back to Dr. Denison. During such situation that Dr. Denison declared and clear also so far. So what is going on in India? Because the scenario of West Bengal and some parts of India, same. Micro and social entrepreneurship, small entrepreneur, they are facing challenges, financial challenges actually, and selling and marketing their products. So how could you explain this issue, sir, please?
Thank you. Actually, the social entrepreneurs are also facing the unprecedented challenges due to the COVID-19. When we talk about India, it is problem of multifaceted. Due to corona, how to maintain physical distancing, how to rehabilitate laborers, especially the migrant laborers, how to balance children education and health, how to avoid outbreak of elderly and disabled. And there are many questions which have to be found in social work. On the other hand, some problems which are still arising in our society, is still present in our society, that is poverty, unemployment, and the need of faster economic growth, which remain the key challenge in present situation too. So we need to address in the better manner, because we have to live with corona, as all the people saying, WHO and other health institutions are saying, that we have to develop our lifestyle with corona. So what are the role of social entrepreneurship? It is not so easy to define the role of social entrepreneurship, because we are in the very primary level of this impact and effect. In India, the main problem is of migrant laborers. Actually, they are moving here from there. Either it is condition of Maharashtra, or it is in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, or in other areas of the country, because the industries are facing the lockdown, and the people who are working in industries or other area are facing the big unemployment, because the daily wages worker who have earned daily and their hand to mouth situation, they move to their home, they don't have any employment at a time. So big challenge, how to re-employment them, source and the destination, the source where he belongs to and the destination where he works to. So the challenge at the employment level, the challenge at the family level, and the challenge at the education and health level. If we talk about education, there is primary education, intermediate education, higher education, and research. All things are closed right now. In India, we start our session, new session in July, but the UGC, which is the governing body of higher education in India, already advised that the session will start in September, not before the September we can start the session. But it is only some anticipations that we can able to start in September. So we have problems. Social entrepreneurs can play the role of a change agent in that social sector, and change agent at the mindset level, change agent at the government level, policy level, change agent at the family level, change agent at the school level, and change agent at the employer's level. So we have a big role as being the social worker. We can also attempt to bring the social equilibrium to avoid economic disparity in society, but it is easy to say, not easy as so easy to implement. So we have roles. Uh, we can also do some creativity and create more work at the source, at the village level, at the local level, and at the rural area where industrialization is still not actually existing. So we have to develop the industrial sector in some areas, in each and every part of the country. We have to develop the employment for person in rural area and urban area as well, as so people stay at their home and not to go outside for serving or for in the to earn their bread and butter. So we can do many things, but it isn't very, we are in very primary stage. We are still not clear that what to do and how to do. That people are searching, the researches are going on, people are thinking. I think we will be able to do something better within a month or two. Government is doing exceptionally well. The government has announced a very good package for the laborers, agriculture laborers and other person. But I think we can say that we will be very clear, we will more clear within a month or two which are coming.
Very good, sir. Very good discussion. There are so few more questions. Mr. Naga Raju greeted us. Hi, good afternoon to all members. Heartfelt thanks to Habib Ji, Annamaria, Banshi, and other professor. Mr. Mazharul Islam wrote, what is the effective role of social worker in coronavirus situation? Dr. Shakti Prabha, due to social distancing, how to encourage social entrepreneurship among people who are not financially strong? And Bhavna, thanks to all speakers. Actually, the social worker graduates and the practitioner commenting on the effective role of social worker, effective potential role during COVID and post-COVID. Actually, social work role can be diverse. Of course, it's diverse, and there are ongoing role and post-scenario role. So, Anna, could you please share some of your experience in African region that you visit a few months before, and communicating with Australian social worker, Britain social worker, how they are planning, and even Asian social worker, actually, what is their mindset to serve the people there at that time?
It's quite difficult to to try to make a general overview in these different countries. I think that how do you say, at the intellectual level, we know very well which kind of support can be done by a social worker in the development and also in realizing entrepreneurship. I think that there are two different streams. No? In Africa, they are discussing a lot about the developmental social work that try to overcome the idea of the, we can say, Western old-fashioned casework, no? And try to make direct and indirect activities to focus on developmental aspect. And of course, at the indirect level, we can see the effort to empower and support the community to handle all these kind of problems that can be in a society, like racism, like how do you say, put people outside the society, homelessness, very hard poverty, but also challenging the oppressive power of the structure. So what is called a policy practice, some activities that can be done trying to illustrate the situation and make a proposal for a new policy, new social policy that can be better, that can be more fostering the well-being of the community. But of course, as my colleague said before, the focus on the sustainable development goals is also something that we have to take in consideration and to try to work in this different area that can be education, can be health, can be sustainability at the ecological level. And so we can really create a background. Of course, this is very difficult to do now during the COVID, but we perhaps in this moment we have to work more to repair what is happening, what is the situation. But then we have to think and to plan and to be prepared for something that, how do you say, make you give you some competencies in supporting local people, for example, in establishing a variety of economic projects, cooperative, micro enterprise. But also, I was in China just till the 3rd of December, just for 1 month, and I participated to a conference on financial social work, which is something that I have never heard in Italy, or I think that in many different education, the entrepreneurship or the financial social work is not taught, is not taken in consideration. The economic part of the education is sometimes, I can say at general level, too poor, not to support the capacity to become an entrepreneur, because you need to have also some specific competence and skills to work on this area. So from my side as an educator, I think that we have to open a discussion and of course to look at the different competencies, integrating the micro, the meso, and the macro
right,
sector of activities. And of course, what we realized during this COVID is that we are not everywhere and not ready to offer online or a technological way of education. But also we had some problem because some of the students doesn't have the possibility to access this kind of tool, or also the electricity. In Africa, they told me, the South Africa, for example, they had a lot of problems to reach some students. In Brazil, the university, the public university that are free, and so they attract the people coming from a different and poor background. They couldn't use any kind of education, distance education, because of this. So we have to discuss a lot of aspects that also have to do with the social justice. And then the internship. How can you organize some good internship in this moment, in this lockdown? We miss the direct contact. We can have, of course, some activities that we have in Milan through the smart working, but this is not enough. So I think we have a lot of problems to discuss in our future, and also to be able to give some good idea for the new global agenda that will take place from 2020 to 2030. I think that we have to do a big effort to make possible this kind of tripartite alliance between IEA, IF, and IC, and make our voice heard at international level on this topic.
Thank you. There are so many comments and questions. Well, I'm coming back to you again, and I would like to go to Dr. Denison before him. There are a few comments. Raihan Anjum Tanha has greeted us. Good afternoon, everybody. Pratibha Mishra, she has greeted us from India with regards and thank Professor Pratibha. Mr. Department of Social Work, Head Department of Sociology and Social Work. She is Dean, Central University, Vishwavidyalaya. This is Guru Ghoshidhas from India, and Doris Padmini. Thank you, Didi. Doris Padmini just made a comment. Social entrepreneurship needs to be focused in small groups to avoid crowding and close contacts. My question is, how can several small groups can network during or post COVID-19? This is the first question. Dr. Denison, I'm coming to you. Segregate duties for each group, but someone has to manage the collection of these items and assemble together as a final product. Who will manage the distribution of the products and the sales, profit and wages to the workers in the small groups? Another question is to ask, maybe it is time to focus on the people to ensure business. Maybe it's not clear, last part's not. Padmini, if you could write the last part again, and please, we will discuss on this. And Pratibha Mishra just wrote nice discussion. She also, I'll submit few topics on which we can arrange the webinar in near future. She also write, it's very good discussion and innovative discussion. I agree, many more dimensions are here already arranged. Prashant Chauhan, Habibur Rahman, good wishes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Kumod Pathak, welcome to the speakers. Fortunate to listen, all of you. I think physical distancing would be more appropriate word than social distancing. From my view, social distancing, to Bishop could say, social distancing word hits emotionally in the human mind. It's true. Pratibha Mishra again told globalization with symmetry, with localization and innovation is required. And Doris, last part, Denison, the last part of Doris Padmini is, maybe it is time to focus on the people to ensure basic needs are met first and contribution to macroeconomic growth is secondary. Ensure inclusive livelihood and sustainability. Actually, she is focusing on small group focus, community-based business focus, but how it's possible keeping social distancing. And another question was, how financially insolvent person can make small group during this time? How can, this is also my question, either government will support them or the rich class will support them or any cooperatives that already you mentioned. And before coming to this question, could you please highlight some points how Malaysian education, so far you know, education in Malaysia is online based previously, but during this time, how root level students in Malaysia be connected on online Zoom app or some other apps education, or it's totally shut down? Please proceed on.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I will try my best, but I would call upon Dr. Anna as well as Dr. Banshi to also add on. But I thought before I answer Dr. Doris' question, I felt it's important for us to recognize that during the COVID period, especially for the bottom 40% and the vulnerable groups, three things are impacting them much more than the middle and upper middle class or even those in secure employment. One is actually livelihood, because for the daily wage, the self-employed in the informal sector or the rural sector, their livelihood is at loss during this lockdown period, as well as because of the limited savings, and we really don't know how much is their debt level, which is an accumulated amount that they have to settle to money lenders, through the pawn shop, redeeming their jewelry and other valuables. So livelihood is a major issue. Second is health related, because for many of them, they won't have health insurance or health coverage. They are totally dependent on the public sector for assistance. In Malaysia, that's well covered, but during the COVID period, there are challenges to get to clinics or to the hospital and things like that. The third, which is most critical, is actually housing and neighborhood. Because if they're living in high-rise flats or in slum area, the density of population and being cramped in, and this is an issue for migrant workers who were working on rotation and shift. They were actually staying in one house, but with the lockdown, all of them, so a house of 5 now has 20 people or more. So I think these issues are areas in which, unfortunately, the lockdown in Malaysia, and I'm sure in other parts, didn't give the liberty for social workers to actually visit and support and assess, other than assisting in provisions, food, and support. Maybe medical testing and other things were issues, but at least in this area, these are the vulnerabilities. And I think this is where social workers need to negotiate much harder with the state for them to be recognized beyond just distributors of relief and finance and food assistance to actually solving some of this systemic issues. And in the post-COVID period, we have to take up livelihood, health related, as well as housing and housing related issues. So it's back to quality of life, back to sustainable development goals. If we take all the areas of gender, because even in the Malaysian context, the cases for domestic violence and has actually risen during this period, is what the official data gives. Now, when we come to community-based groups, I want to draw the example of Asafa in South India, where they presented a case study at one of our discussions. This is Tamil Nadu, where they have organized the village through their panchayat system. They have self-help groups that are involved in dairy and agriculture. And they have actually set up the system. This is responding to Dr. Doris from Malaysia question. In the Tamil Nadu experience, they already had a collection system of each family's milking that then went to a central collecting spot, and all the villagers then sent it to a cooperative milk factory, which then transported it. I think where they were affected was the control on this transport and sale. And this is where in other countries like China, where there is community-supported agriculture, where the producers and consumers, so the producers are in the rural areas, the consumers are in the city, and that they were interlinking producers and consumers so that they cut down the middleman, and this is organized through a cooperative system or through the self-help organizing, because there the governments and the emphasis is on food security and food sovereignty. Like in the Malaysian context, we have huge plantations, but they're producing oil palm, which is not for food. It's for export and things like that. So food products are affected. But in the case of India, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, the rural areas produce a lot of agricultural products. So the marketing during this period and the transportation and the long term in this context with regards to assisting them. In the Malaysian context, where a group of indigenous people were doing organic farm, their village was not at all affected by COVID. That means there were no cases of COVID. I visited with the staff of this foundation that took food to the people. They were only affected that they couldn't earn any cash during the period, but the village actually was quite a protective environment because no one would come in and no one would leave because they were more a forest-based community. But they had an issue with marketing their product. And that becomes an issue. And I think Doris is right in this context because some of these rural or other areas are dependent on ecotourism. So whether it's biodiversity, whether it is their handicraft, whether it is the homestay program, all that stopped because there were no tourists coming in to some of these locations. In a case study that I heard, and I visited them in Bangkok, the HomeNet, which is a network of home-based workers, as well as a network of street vendors, they were really badly affected because they were not allowed to do street vending during this period. But because they were living in a congested part of Bangkok, the families together under this self-organized, actually they're a membership-based organization, then they organize themselves and set up a community kitchen. And what we heard is the acts of solidarity. Actually, we are not hearing all these fantastic stories of the poor from the rural Thailand sending their vegetables to these urban street vendors who then were cooking in their community sort of sale. This is what HomeNet Thailand shared with us in that context. And what they told us was they have already entered into dialogue with the Bangkok city authorities to enhance social security, protection of the workers, registering of them during this period to get government assistance and ensuring that the assistance reached the target group and not was siphoned off by some middleman or politician or some other person. So I think there is quite a bit of resilience on the ground and the communities organizing themselves. And this is where social workers, through the hand-holding process, through organizing people's organizations, that they are self-managed and organized, then linking to advocacy, which is the macro policy issues, and getting favorable policy environment to support them is the way forward. Unfortunately, for many of the street vendors in Bangkok or in other cities, the city hall is not friendly to small operators. They want these operators to go into supermarkets or into air-conditioned areas because of health and nutrition and safety mechanisms, which then raise the cost of food for ordinary people and so forth. So what we are seeing that while there are numerous challenges, there is also outstanding stories of resilience from the ground of how the poor are organizing themselves in solidarity and not just dependent on the government for help. but actually reaching out. And I think this is where in the post-COVID period, we now need to ask what kind of an economy do we want? Is it an economy that is dominated by big businesses, the question that Doris raised, or is there a place for micro and small businesses that can survive and that they will not be pushed out because of competition, unfair markets, and the oppression that comes. Sorry if I've taken more time at this point, and I hope whether it's answered the question. But I'm coming because I'm a social work sociology background. I think I come much stronger in the context of community organizing. And I think this is where, for India, as Dr. Banshi, as well as Dr. Doris raised, we need to actually empower and help local communities organize themselves. The main problem we are facing because of political intervention, vote buying, political involvement, it's disempowering the poor from self-reliance and just markets, fair trade, and so forth. Because public policy tends to be unfairly supportive of big business. I'm not against big business. I think many of the big businesses are doing good community-based CSR or responsible business ventures, but we need more of that where they don't alienate and disempower and displace rural communities or urban communities, but would strengthen it in the way community-supported agriculture or in food sovereignty or security, as well as social protection, a rights-based approach to development would be the way forward for us. Thank you very much.
Very, very thoughtful discussion, Dr. Denison.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Pratibha Mishra from India, she wrote comments and questions also, but so far we could understand your discussion already covered up. Pratibha written here, at present situation, we need to redefine the word community and community development. Again, she wrote here another, can you throw more light on community development with local livelihood project, if any, their success and failures to reduce migration? Finally, she wrote insightful ideas for present scenario. Actually, you already discussed, but last part of your discussion at the end, then you will again make a summary on that, how community or community organization and development is being redefined in thought level because of this pandemic situation. People cannot move around and they are focusing on their own community resource mobilization. Thanks a lot, Dr. Denison. There are a few more comments. I would like to come to Dr. Banshidhar Pandey, Professor Pandey. I'm coming to you, and before you, I'd like to read out some comments that already raised from few of our scholars and followers friends. Nagaraju has again wrote great professionals and useful discussion. Pratibha Mishra just point out sustainability at heads of all this discussion, and Navajit Chakraborty raised a question, how do we see our labor class after post-lockdown situation? What are their role of job opportunities as the industries are also in crisis and most of organizations are in layoff period? Name Navajit Chakraborty, student from Department of Social Work, Maharashtra Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith University. Thank you, Navajit. I'm coming to Dr. Pandey. And another question, just very close question on that. Munmun greeted us, Pratibha Mishra and Bhavna Bhagat Singh, Professor Bhavna, Department of Social Work, Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith. She highlighted, I think most disadvantaged groups in Indian society is labor class. Actually, working class is more focused in all the comments, really. So I'm coming to other parts of the questions, and Anna Meller, just Vijay Jeham actually commented on this, and Mr. Noyan Khan again question, but Noyan's question directly close to Annamaria. I will come it later. So could you please start, Dr. Pandey, on labor class and migration and hospital management during COVID-19 situation, how it can be well managed to serve the sufferer except COVID?
Actually, sir, the problem of labor class is the problem of this pandemic in India, of course, in other parts of the world, in South Asia and Asian country too, what I felt. Labor class problems are big because in India, many of the laborers are not registered yet. The government has declared the packages and transferred the money on monthly basis in the account of the registered laborers of unorganized sector. The big problem is that a million of laborers are not registered yet. So what about them? And the problem is quite big because they are moving from the destination to their source, that is from the working area to their hometown or the native area. The distance is thousand kilometers many times. And managing these population is quite big challenge. What will happen after COVID-19? That is again a further next phase, I think it is. The first phase, how to accommodate them in the village where there is no employment for them, no agriculture work from them, no other source of income for them. So we have to first get a data and a data set for the laborers so that they can get the help from government or any other organization. First of all, we have to think about. Second thing, what about their family? Their children are studying, their school, they don't have their fee, they don't have their money for the medical help, they don't have money for anything else. So they are extreme level of poverty, and it leads to some other problems like the violence, community violence, domestic violence, other medical issues, and many things more. We will get the after COVID. There is more violent society if these problems should not address within the time. That is the problem. And what the people are saying, that is exactly right. So first of all, the entrepreneurship at community level, first we have to develop the job, which is not looking like very easy in that situation. Because few states in India like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, many of the people of villages went to the metro cities for job in the industrial sector, in the corporate sector or other sector. Now when they come back, it is sometimes 2 crore people, 3 crore people, or more than that in the state. The state has no policy, no actually foresight for them, but government is trying to decentralize the process of industrialization in many part of the country, but it will take time. It is not the effort for a day or 2 or 3. It will take many years. So we have to think at policy level. What ma'am says, we need the micro level planning, macro level planning, short term planning, and long term planning. So social work has to think about it. Community level empowerment is definitely a big issue. What Professor Denison has said, we have to develop some employment at the community level. We have to develop some support system for the laborers at the community level, and social workers. But in India, community kitchen is always going on in each and every district. I think administration had added some voluntary organization voluntarily helping in the community kitchen. Community kitchen is good idea. Some jobs are good idea. Some financial aids are good idea. And the free education after the primary education for the domestic laborers as well as the migrant laborers. And they need free medical aid if they required. And they need at least 6 months fooding supply for them, food supply and nutrition supply, as well as free some monetary help in coming 6 months. And I think India is quite able to do this one. And the social worker can do what we can plan for further after COVID effect. If we have to live with corona, then what type of counseling, what type of psychosocial help required at community level, we have to think about. Because in hospital setting, the other patients who are not affected by corona or COVID are not getting sufficient services. So this is again another type of problem, because people are facing, and after time and time, it is 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, people will get agitated, and they will come out. And when the one person has said about the social distancing and physical distancing, it is quietly right. As World Health Organization is also said that we have to use the word of physical distancing, and in our national association we are also propagating and trying to use the word physical distancing, because social distancing sounds something else. So we have to think about this one also. So at the attitude level, mental level, physical level, and at the community level, social work has to do many things. Many things means financial help, psychological help, and many other help in education, help in other area, and particularly for the, in general for each and everyone, but particularly for the laborers, and specifically for the migrant laborers. I would like to add one more thing. In India also, at the primary level, secondary level, and at the higher education level, we are providing e-learning and online classes and live classes for the student and other material. But the big problem is the students are not able to access that, because the people who are living in the rural area, they don't have the internet connectivity. They don't have the laptop, even they don't have the smartphone. How can they connect with this e-learning or the online learning classes? This is again a challenge. If we are shifting towards the online classes or live classes, first we have to think about the how people get connected by this online classes or everything classes. Everything is in discussion. Higher education department and primary education department, government department are thoughtful thinking about that, and I think the policy will come out within a month or two for this. And we have a newer world after corona and after covid, and where the role of social worker is of different type. But I think the role of social worker is more crucial in post corona effect. As far as the India is concerned, still social work is not treated as profession. We don't have the full profession capacity. That's why the role of social work is quite confusing. Two, for government, the role of social worker is different. For voluntary organization, they are perceiving the role of social work in different area. And the people of community, they are perceiving the role of social work in different area. Therefore, the expectations are at a different level. So we have to adjust on that level too. So many more things we have to discuss. We are discussing, and we will try to get some solution. So I think we will be able to serve the community, and as social entrepreneur and as the community social worker. That is my submission, Dr. Rahman.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I have some few more additions with you, as question raised from some of our friends. One is like India. This is a big country, and so many states are there. People are doing internal migration, state to state, province to province. They are migrating, and in such COVID-19 like situation, many people are losing their life, family losing their job, community are in a horror situation. So few questions is here, how community level local initiatives we can suggest them to console, like prevention is better than cure. As a social worker, Dr. Pandey, how we can suggest them some local levels, counseling level suggestions for them. And for the migrant workers, they are in a disturbing situation. They lost their jobs, they lost their working place, even family, right? And sometimes they are moving faster in new places, they cannot be accommodated properly. They're coming back, they have a mindset that they might not get job back again. So for the migrant workers, how we can give them some suggestions to keep a stable mind during COVID-19, and how they can bring or back the job again in post situation in Indian perspective. Could you add some points on that, please? Dr. Pandey.
Yeah, actually, what I was talking, that is about the post-COVID situation, not at the present situation. Counseling is not effective actually in that situation or in the present situation. Actually, the people need financial help. Those who are in poverty, they need the food, they need the shelter, they need the transport to go back to their home, they need the medical aid, and they need the books and copy and pencil for their children. So if we can, that is a big problem. And without the intervention of government and without the help of civil society, we can't do that. So first of all, social worker can bridge the gap between the civil society people and government. We can be the supplier, we can be the monitor, we can be the coordinator at village level, and we can engage ourselves in the community distribution system, which is quite difficult task for the government. So I have this one. What about the counseling? It is after COVID effect. The second thing, how they get job. Just listen. The condition will get normal on some day. The industry need the worker, and the worker need the job. I think 70 to 80% people will return back at their job, and the industry will provide them the job. But 10 or 20% people, I think they will not return to their job. The problem of that time, he could, or would the government able, or government or anybody able to provide them job opportunity at the community level? This is the challenge, and we have to think about this. Sir, Dr. Rahman, I think I am
We will
able
come
to
again.
clarify, or otherwise, yeah.
All right, it's okay. We will come again with some few more questions. But before that, there are so many questions and opinions are here from different parts, different friends, audience. So now one specific question for Dr. Anna. Mr. Noyan Khan, my question is to Annamaria, sir. This is Amadul from University of Malaya, Malaysia. He is PhD scholar there. Can you please share us what types of initiatives are taken by IASSW in the COVID-19 response and recovery? Thanks again to all panelists and thoughtful discussion and sharing their experiences to work in this COVID-19. And before Maria, you start, before you starting, I would like to read out and greet some of our followers here. Pratibha Mistro, she is asking so many questions and fantastic questions. Pratibha, thank you. Munmon, great, thank you. Bhavna Bhagavat Singh, actually she mentioned already, it's discussed labor class situation. Anna Mala, thank you. Doris Padmini, fantastic questions and issues you raised. You mentioned and wrote some Malaysian education system, though it's in digitalized, but teachers and students are running through and going after a tough pressure during this time. Already Denison highlighted these points. Other two speakers also put on some concentration on these points again, few time after. Pratibha, thank you. Doris Pandim, thank you. Anna Mela and Visa Mahan. Right now, migrants are struggling for survival. That actually Dr. Pandey mentioned. Shaila Parvin, she is from Maharashtra Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, and she mentioned thickly populated country like India. So what we as a social worker can do in the community? Actually, it's a real question, and it's happening in Bangladesh also, because these are populated country and social work is not in a professional and collective stage. That's why we can extend our kind hand beside government. It's really struggling here. Manbashu, a very important issue for the current situation. Doris, I agree, need to be focused and identify the community to focus upon youths, in particular village, single mothers. Actually, these are the areas because they are suffering more in case. And Manbashu again mentioned here economic downfall in coming days. Actually, this is what should be the planning, national planning or country-wise planning, global planning. She mentioned it here. Pratibha Mr. wrote, yesterday I met few migrant people from Andhra Pradesh to Chhattisgarh. They were crying like anything for food to their children and afraid of losing them. Actually, this is a big concern nowadays, especially for the populated country. It's a big question. The government is giving huge support, right? Some organization is giving huge support. So I'm dropping a question. Though government is giving support, many rich people giving support, organization giving support. So do you think any lacking of coordination between these all supports together to make people stop crying for food? This is the question. Just Dr. Pandey, just keep it in your mind. Later on, you will put comments on this. And I'm coming to Anna, and there are a few comments here. Vijay Mohan already mentioned something here. Pratibha Suresh, what sort of intervention can be planned for tribal community? Tribal is a big issue. Dr. Pandey, you also keep it in mind, please. Community, people who does have any financial support for any counseling services post-pandemic, they are not reachable, because tribal, actually, it's not reachable current time also. They are suffering more. And Pratibha Mr. So my question to Dr. Anna just now, the question of Noyan Khan, is there any specific measures and steps taken or planned by IASSW to guide all schools of social work globally? Anna, please.
Okay. So we have discussed a lot about how can we face this incredible pandemic event. And immediately we started with a COVID page on our website. And in this page, we are collecting stories from everyone who wanted to share. Lena Dominelli is our committee chair for disaster and climate change. So she's leading this session. The stories can be sent 500 words and 1 or 2 photos, just to give the opportunity to people to share their experience. Then always in this COVID page, we have one section which is connected with information. At the beginning, Lena shared some important information, how to deal as a social worker with the COVID, to be also self-protected and to protect the other. And also we put some other information that we collect from our international network. The third one is about online teaching, which is not so much now full of experience, I think, because everyone is busy to record, to prepare material and to do activities, so that doesn't have time to, to prepare this information to share. But of course, from this first collection of information, we decided to launch very soon a competition, we can say, for a research project on the effect of COVID and how this can be linked to the education. Normally, we have 2 periods in which we launch this call for project, and now we will anticipate the November normally time. in this project, we need 3 different countries involved, of course, member schools, and the focus will be on COVID. So this is a new initiative. And then another initiative will be now is in place to create some groups that can prepare some material or organize some specific meeting to face some aspect that as academic we have to teach to our students to face problems like, for example, homelessness or elderly people support. So how to share international experience and give some guideline, some information that can be used by all the academics. So this is what we are we are doing now. But of course, we will have a next General Assembly in July, so we will discuss again how we can go on with some more structured initiative, because you know what is the scenario is that now we are facing this COVID, but in the past we have had Ebola, we have had SARS, we have had many different epidemic or pandemic, and so we have to be aware that perhaps this will be a challenges that we have to face in the future in time perhaps also short between one and the other. So we have to be more prepared about how to face this situation, and if it's possible, how to put some plan to prevent the terrible effect that we have had in this COVID.
Thank you, Anna, for a wonderful discussion. Coming back to Dr. Denison, and before him, there are a few more comments. And actually, dear viewers, dear followers and friends, and honorable speaker, our time is close to end. Next 20 minutes, we will be online. So again, I'm coming to Dr. Denison. Shaila Parvin just wrote here, I think economic health, the awareness program to prevent COVID-19 are more helpful. Ranjana Singh, what is the psychological model of social work during COVID-19? Ranjana Singh, MSW Delhi. Thank you, Ranjana Singh. It's very wonderful question. Actually, psychological therapy, mitigation, counseling, we are desperately discussing. And one thing I would like to import here, the question yesterday was as a change of attitude and values. It's a part of culture. It's a long process. So during this short time, how people can change their values, attitude, and belief. It was a question yesterday. So we must say COVID-19 at least recall us to be having a good value, right? Good moral character, equalization thought. Actually, Dr. Denison will put something here. Pratibha Mishra, again, economic angles will be fruitful. She highlighted here. We have already have discussion on that. And Doris highlighted indigenous and tribal community that already Dr. Pandey highlighted few more, but I hope Dr. Denison will add something here. Ms. Suresh, thanks, greetings. Just one thing before coming to Dr. Denison, the dear viewers and friends, those who are watching this show, actually this is our effort to bring world social worker, world leaders, young generations, graduates, those have a common quiet and promising heart for the community together just for sharing, because we do believe sharing is caring. Social work is globally is a buzz now to produce community-based service. So this is effort from Bangladesh. Myself, Habibur Rahman, I'm an academician in social work, a practitioner, but I do firmly believe that during this COVID, that Alibaba Foundation CEO, that during this COVID-19, please don't think back the benefits, the profits of business. Just try to keep alive this year. Bill Gates wrote many things, and our giant leaders, many other leaders and scholars and philanthropists wrote summarily that COVID-19 is teaching us spirituality, just teaching us how to develop sharing, how to develop equalization, how to develop sympathy and empathy, how to develop feel people, how to develop strengthening community. Actually, these all of the lessons might be so far I could understand from COVID-19. So I'm coming back to Dr. Denison. Could you please summarily mention how we are thinking, and we have to think back again after COVID-19, rebuilding community or redefining community through all aspects, impacts considering the COVID-19 scenario? Your time is 4 minutes, please, because we are just closing to the end.
Okay. You need to guide me and stop me in case I go beyond. I think firstly, I want to congratulate you. I know you and I became Facebook friends, and since then we have been in close touch, and we share many academic interests and social work background interests. Now, I think in the context of rebuilding communities, I think what is most critical for the social worker at this point is actually at two levels. One is that social workers, whether in government or in voluntary organizations or in NGOs of any kind, know the target group, the vulnerable group, the most disadvantaged people, whether it is rural, urban, single mothers, prisoners, LGBT, whatever target group and vulnerable group, we actually have the contact, the relationship, and so forth. So I think that is an information and knowledge that we have, which we need to now bring in to the policy forum and discussion, because the social worker becomes a go-between government agencies, private sector, and the community. Because government is providing a lot of assistance, or whether it's medical, whether it is food, whether it's distribution, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it's skills training, whether it is housing. Sometimes it doesn't reach this target group. Of course, if you are migrant, you are stateless, it's a different question. But even among the citizens at the bottom 40, urban poor, rural poor, indigenous poor, forest-based communities, there is this problem. So I think we need to play a more activist role with government in a diplomatic way, but to bring the information to the ground and bring the people to the table that they could have this access in the way. Now, one of the things we have been doing in another forum, and Habibur has been part of this, is actually in community building, beginning to say development policy workers should not divide rural and urban. The Western development model gave us the idea that we should all become industrialized societies, become big cities, and all the good life is in the city, and the development expenditure and building the rural is neglected. So you have this rural-urban migration, and there is the need now to make sure that the rural has good quality, has the internet infrastructure, has the services that is needed, so people don't need to go to the city, but they can find that quality of life and opportunity and so forth. Just now, Habibur mentioned about Jack Ma and his team. Now, of course, he's a private investment, high-flying sort of group. But one of the things in rural China they have been able to do is set up community centers, which is actually IT based, so that the rural area has IT connectivity where they produce, whether it's agriculture, handicraft, other sorts of things, can be marketed to the city through the internet, and the services of the city could be purchased online. Now, what Jack Ma and his team were able to provide was two areas. One is the internet connectivity, the computer and community center in the rural area, which is community run by the local people, and they get the connectivity, and they then are trading through the net. And the logistic company, which is the transport company at an affordable price, going to the city or from the city coming to the rural. And there are so many examples in the Chinese context where there is a return of young people back to the rural, earning as much as they did in the city, but now able to live with their elderly parents or able to do farming in the rural area or set up their companies in the rural area and drink. So this whole area is called revitalization of the rural. And the other example that I saw last year was at Yogyakarta, where the Indonesian government, through its decentralization process, allowed the local community to determine what are the development agenda and priorities. And then they decided to set up recycling, other kinds of herbal product, which is from traditional knowledge. They then set up a community restaurant, a homestay and other sorts that provides employment now to more than 100, 150 people, run by the community village outside of Yogyakarta. And the writing and the book produced by the local village leader, which is in line with the SDG, is leaving no one behind. He says, don't leave the village behind. Give it the quality. People don't need to leave the village. They can get their employment. And this actually requires public policy intervention. I think India is a good example where there is a strengthening of grassroots panchayat system, better agricultural, produce and other things, and then linking it to the cities. And I think if that is strengthened, we're going to see some change. We don't want repeat of New York and Chicago, which are the models of development. Can we have our own development models in which the rural can be as attractive and connected now through internet? I mean, it's a great honor to be in the same platform with Professor Annamaria as well, because of the International School of Social Work, and Habibur has made this possible for us now to have lectures across, whether it is Italy, whether it is Malaysia. The student then can actually choose, Professor Anna's classes in Italy or Habibur's or whoever, and then be able to be enriched in this way. But I agree with the comment, does the rural have the connectivity? Does it have the infrastructure and so forth? I think one of the best examples is India. In India, I don't know, it might have taken 1 year before you get a landline. But now with the mobile phones, it's just revolutionized. And I've seen photos in India where a person on a bullock cart is having a handphone and he's chatting. So the handphone and the mobile tool. So it's now we lecturers, the older generation, who are struggling with this, my mobile phone and so forth. where we then change our lectures, our notes. I'm impressed with Habibur able to read all the different messages as he is moderating. Well, I moderate, I'm just listening. I can't do all the different things simultaneously. So I think this is important, and technology and this connectivity and COVID especially is changing the pattern for us, and hopefully this we will keep up across the world, whether it is Asia or Europe or North America, and have this learning. I'm not sure whether I took more than 4 minutes. I will go back to you now. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it has been a pleasure sharing the platform with eminent scholars as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Denison. Actually, so many comments is coming, but time is close to end because already we have over 2 hours, right? The session is on.
Sorry.
And there is comments from Shakti Prabha. Yes, sir. Actually, she agreed with us. Moon, Habibur Rahman, sir, you were looking smart. Anna, ma'am, you were so cute. Actually, these are the comments. Shaila Parvin, what about landless laborers? Actually, Shaila Madam Ji, this is a debate platform. This is an settled issue so far in all the countries. Government is trying, we are trying, but gradually we have to try keeping hearts together, heads together, so that it might be something better in future. So hope you will join again. And before coming to Dr. Pandey for the last chance, I'm inviting you all together, those who are following this Facebook Live, please join us. We always advance notice you, join us. This is a global platform of social workers, social work, though it's a long cherished profession in some countries, but still some countries live behind to get that professional essence and uses and utilization of social work. But social work, of course, Anna told several times, and she will conclude this way again, that social work emerges through crisis, through needs, through charities, through feelings, the situation and context. COVID-19, this is such a comprehensive situation. It brings the impact and implementation and uses of social work again to this global platform. So that all global leaders of social work, they are thinking back again about the importance of social work, utilization, revitalization, and application. So if you come together, if you speak together, raise voice together, social work profession might be in front. So I'm coming back to Dr. Pandey. There is a question from Navajit Chakraborty. And your time is 4 minutes as usual with other parts. So you have to conclude within this. And in the last part, you will get just 30 seconds to say hello to everybody. And I'm requesting you, those who are watching this Facebook Live show, please share it to your friends so that more people could be connected and see and watch and generate their knowledge and put their comments and join next episode. And we have an YouTube channel that is Community Talks. Community Talks, please subscribe the channel, and all the episodes will be downloaded there, will be loaded there. You can have idea reviewing all these videos and scholars videos from this. And I would like to share you one thing. This platform, as I'm hosting here, I will gradually inviting global leaders of social work from so many countries, and even from my country. We'll invite some families to share their experiences, how they're passing their COVID-19 situation healthy, what are the strategies they're following, and how the voluntary people are working together. We will just bring back again all of them. And then I'm coming back to Jahid Hassan, last comment. Habib, looking excellent. I like social work now, which is important time for COVID-19. Thank you. And I'm coming back to Dr. Denison, focusing on the comment of Navajit Chakraborty. Drawback of social welfare activities in COVID-19. Is it causing the pandemic a boom, as they are unskilled management mostly, that is highlighting their work for sake of popularity and funds? Country like India is self-sustainable to trade and feed, provide shelter and basic livelihood to the need. what is the gap that is causing the situation worse, where the factual solidarity is missing. Name Navajit. Actually, Navajit would like to hit that point of solidarity, point of coordination, point of heart-to-heart feel. So what Dr. Pandey discussed, let us say. Dr. Pandey, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, please. Carry on.
No.
Dr. Pandey, you can carry on. We can hear you.
Coordination.
Dr. Pandey ji, speak a bit louder, and increase volume of your set.
With civil services organization.
Dr. Pandey, speak loudly, bit loudly.
Reach out to the tribal population, rural population, and other remote India. Yeah. State government should coordinate with the civil service organizations and non-governmental organizations in order to reach out to the tribal population as well as the rural population which are living in the remote area or the people who are living in the remote area. We cannot we coordination. Okay, that the coordination, we can't say coordination. And it is basically between administration and the non-governmental organization or civil better and better by day to day. But in at present situation, organization and the district administration, people are serving the society at the different ways and different levels. But we have to maintain the coordination at between the states too, and between the state and social worker and between the central government and social. As far as the tribal population is concerned, there are many problems of tribal who have the proper shelter, because when they return back to their villages or native place, they have to stay days quarantine. If they don't have centers, neither shelter or home where they can live in 14 days, so they are bound to live in the hilly area or in area or any no provision, health facility is not there, no problem. The other population interacting well with the other people, so they are facing problem much more. So government must coordinate with the organization who are working in tribal area to get in touch with tribal population or to serve the tribal population for their betterment. And I think two questions has been asked by Dr. Rahman, which I to again in Indian country.
There might be internet problem.
Yeah.
Could you hear me, Dr. Pandey? Could you hear me? Actually, internet is a big issue everywhere.
Yeah.
You carry on.
Now I can hear. So am I not audible?
Yes, I'm audible.
Yes.
You can.
Yes. What I said that for tribal population, they have many type of problem, as well as the livelihood concern, as well as the shelter concern, and as well as the connectivity with the urban areas concerned. Though we don't have such type of quarantine centers in tribal areas, so people have to live in outside the villages, outside the home, and we don't have many shelters for tribal people in some areas specifically. So the problem is of manifold. So government should should coordinate with the civil services organization or voluntary organization or non-governmental organization who are working in the community area. So they are taking the help of the community based organization and other field based organization in the tribal area to reach to the tribal population, because they can bridge the gap between the state government and the tribal people. And as far as the coordination is concerned, coordination get lesser now, because when the now it is now lesser between the civil services organization, non-governmental organization, and the other organization who are working in the community area. So they are taking the help of the community-based organization and other faith-based organization for the betterment of people or serving the people who are affected by this pandemic.
Hello.
Okay, Dr. Rahman, it is finished from my side.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, internet today, by the grace of Almighty, internet was all right, but internet is a big issue nowadays. All right, thank you. And there are a few wishes from Gauss Puri. Thank you, Habibur Rahman sir, for organize and continue this program. Best wishes. Thank you, Appa, Shaila Parvin. Speakers, thank you all for valuable suggestion. Navjit Chakraborty, thank you. All the panelists for their worthy sharing knowledge. Jahid Hassan, actually, before coming to Dr. Anna, I'm ever grateful to you. You are very busy because you have so many schedules. Dr. Pandey has so many schedules and Dr. Denison, but you agreed with a very short notice, and it's wonderful sharing with our participants, followers, friends. And before coming to you, I would love to convey our sincere gratitude to Almighty, greetings to and heart feelings to all of the doctors and nurses globally, and the administrators, police departments, grocery sellers, even rickshaw pullers, those who are serving, taking risk during this COVID-19 scenario, all the countries together, and deep condolence to the departed soul of all the countries around the world, more than 3 lakh, those who have lost their lives during this COVID-19. I'm coming back. Lastly, dear viewers, we are 100% close to end of the session. After Annamaria, I'll just greet and finish the session. So be with us for the next session. Be connected. Join our YouTube channel, Community Talks. Join our Facebook group, Community Social Worker Network BD. Facebook page, Community Talks BD. All are community based because I love to involve. I love to keep a vibration in community because we are community people. We are community social worker. I would love to come to Dr. Annamaria just to hear a few words from you. Yeah. Actually, what COVID-19 teaches us this?
Oh, I think I wanted to go back from one of our founder. You know, Jane Addams, many ago,
Jane Addams, right.
She said, the good we secure for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it's secured for all of us and incorporated into our common life. I think that no more than now, these words are important, prophetic, and have to drive, to guide us during the route of the solidarity. Solidarity will be the words of the first pillar of our global agenda from 2020 to 2022. And I think that solidarity can be professional solidarity, can be voluntary solidarity, can be political solidarity, as we have tasked in Europe to be in solidarity between all the countries that are part of this union, but also solidarity between all the countries of the world. And I think that we have to go in this way if we want to make a better life for everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for my colleagues. It has been really, really interesting to participate to this meeting.
Thank you. Dr. Denison, can you hear me, Dr. Denison?
Yes, I can.
All right. I'm grateful as you accept my invitation within a very short notice and you share very insightful and thoughtful sharing to the audience. So your time is 30 seconds. Could you like to say anything for the viewers today?
Thank you. I'm extremely impressed by this discussion and the solidarity among social workers as well as social work lecturers who have come on board from South Asia. I think we need to enlarge this and keep this discussion going because this is one way of exchange of knowledge and information, but also to have it as a global advocacy platform.
Yeah.
Some of us are involved with SDGs, and then we are also involved in the UN 75 or UN 2020 agenda. So it's in that context that Asian social workers could put social work on the map. If not, we are always dominated by economists and others and political scientists who steal the show. So it's good, Habibur, that you bring this, and Bangladesh also can bring this strong Islamic element as well. I'm not a Muslim, but I live in a majority Muslim country. We could try and see how Indonesia, Bangladesh, and other parts of the Asian communities can respond better. So thank you, and it's a privilege, Dr. Annamaria and Dr. for sharing the platform together, and I'm sure our paths will cross. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations for your community talks. I think it's a very good effort.
Thank you, Dr. Denison. I'd like to come to Dr. Pandey. Dr. Pandey, could you hear me?
I think.
Yeah, Dr. Pandey, could you hear me, please?
It seems frozen.
Actually, internet it's a big issue now.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Pandey. Actually, this is the last part of the session. Within 1 or 2 minutes, we are going to end. There are comments still coming. So followers and friends, comment from Tahir Ali, Mr. Tahir Ali. He's professor, a great symbol of real social worker. Go ahead, sir. Navajit Chakraborty, the last comment. We play a crucial role in present pandemic because we, the people of the world together, can bring a change. And session like this should be more priorities to bring we feeling. Thank you, sir. You all will be together. So, Dr. Pandey, your time is 30 seconds just to greet audiences right from the platform. What you love to say, please carry on. Dr. Pandeyji, are you okay? Can you hear me? Is your microphone mute? Please unmute your microphone if so.
Am I audible?
Yeah. Please, your time is 30 seconds. We are close to end, just to end, please greet your followers, friends, closer and colleagues.
Are you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Yes, I'm hearing. Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you. Dr. Pandey, please proceed on. Your microphone is mute so far. Or plug in again. We can hear you. Dr. Pandey, carry on. Just carry on.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to interact with many people around the globe. And I would like to thank Dr. Annamaria and Dr. Denison sir, and it is my privilege to share the with you, and very good. My greetings to all the Bangladesh people and very good Eid al-Fitr. My best wishes for Eid al-Fitr for all over the country, all over the world people. And thanks, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Thank you again for your valuable time to join with us and comments, sharing, and good discussion. I would like to come for last 30 seconds to Dr. Anna, please. You unmute your microphone. Anna, unmute your microphone, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you again for this meeting. I think that sharing this information, experience, knowledge internationally is something that has been on our association since the beginning, since 1928. So I really think that going on in this effort, we can create a stronger community of academics, professional, researcher, and this can be helpful for all the humankind and all the country in the world. So thank you very much for your invitation and for the experience that you made through these channels.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Anna, Dr. Denison, Dr. Banshidhar Pandey ji. Thanks a lot, really, to keep my words. Actually, you've spent 2 hours and a half, very valuable time you have already spent. And it was a big challenge to continue this program 2 hours and 24 minutes. It's a longer time, but still there are four more comments coming. Last comment, Abid Guljar wrote, lovely discussion. And there are so many comments ahead before we have discussed already. So be with us, dear friends, audience, and social workers around the world. This effort will be continued, but it might be gap or one after they followed, but it will be continued just to make this stronger platform. But my last word is that I really believe from my heart, and that Dr. Denison lastly just point out me is how I can relate it to, as this is Islamic country, how we can relate it to social service from Islamic point of view. I would like to share with my friends and also with my honorable speaker. I had a presentation in Japan in Pan-Pacific seminar on Zakat system and social work, Zakat system and social work, how Zakat can contribute in social service in Bangladesh. I presented a keynote paper in Japan, Pan-Pacific seminar, and we have a hope to work on it, how really Zakat can contribute huge number of population simultaneously, government efforts and some other social efforts and entrepreneur or businessman efforts in Bangladesh. But my last worry that I really cherished in my dream, in my heart, is someone has to take leadership, someone has to take sacrificing mentality, or someone has to take risk and challenge. Otherwise, nothing could be successful. So I do believe the Napoleon quote, Napoleon Bonaparte said, the world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of the bad people. The world suffers a lot because of the silence of the good people. So we are the good people. We are a bigger number, but we are all for silence somehow. So we have to raise voice together. We have to come together. Then social work might bring a good community, good environment, might bring good souls together to avoid and erase all kinds of evil deeds from the society. Thanks again. My greetings, global leaders of social work, and our viewers and followers. Hope we will come together again soon. Thank you, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.